Howdy, and welcome back to another episode of World Bigfoot Radio. And I have an interesting show for you guys today. This is someone who's had their own encounter, wants to talk about it. And you'll find by the end of the show that this is actually something that has never happened in the United States before. So stay tuned and listen in for this one, because when we get to the end of it, you guys are going to probably be pretty surprised, and it's definitely worth hearing. And with that, I'd like to bring on my friend Claudia. Hi, Claudia.
Hi there. I want to say thank you to everyone who's taking your time to listen to my story, and I'm very grateful for that, and it's very nice to meet everybody. My name is Claudia, and I'm 46 years old. I'm a single mom of 2 daughters that I'm very proud of, and my whole Bigfoot fascination started around 1996, 1997, not sure what year it was, but I was young, and I lived with 2 roommates, and they were both paramedics, and we decided to go on like a camping trip together, the 3 of us. So back then we went to Yosemite National Park, and we decided to go hike on Upper Falls, and there's a Lower Falls and an Upper Falls, and most people that hike on that trail that I noticed, they would walk, and it would take like a whole day, like 6 hours to get up to the mountain hiking, and we decided to like pack like 40 pounds of gear, each of us, and we had a tent, and we wanted to stay at least 3 nights there, you know, kind of out in nature. So when we went up there, I was like young and naive and didn't know anything about like the wildlife. But when we went to get a fire permit, they were telling us about bears. They said, you know, there's a lot of bears that break into people's food, so they gave us a training on how to protect yourself, and that was very fun. You know, I never really was worried about it. So that night, we set up our tent, and we were next to the river, and we were the only ones out there. Like, I didn't see other, like, campers, or we were just, like, the only dummies that were out there by ourselves. And for sure, like, no cell phone, you know, at that time. So that night, you know, I remember, like, going to sleep and looking at a box of granola bars that my roommate had, and I told him, like, shouldn't you, like, put that away? And he's like, nah, like, we'll be fine. You know, of course, we're irresponsible back then and didn't care about anything and never worried about anything, but that night in the middle of the night, we heard the most heart-wrenching, like, growl, and it literally sounded like it was right next to the tent. So, like, my friend Curtis and I, we both sat up, like we were sleeping, sound asleep, and we were tired. It was like a hard hike, so I sat up, he sat up, and then my other roommate was just, like, frozen, and then he started praying, my third roommate. And at that point, I looked at my roommate, and I pointed at the granola bars. I said, like, the granola bars, you know, and he's like, okay. So I was, like, searching in the tent for a flashlight, and he was, like, searching for, like, the box of granola bars. And what happened was he unzipped it, and, of course, he starts from the bottom going up. And at that point, I wanted to see what was that, like, enormous growl. And if you guys have heard a growl, you understand what I'm talking about, because it does send, like, shivers down your spine. It's scary. So as I was, like, started looking, we waited a little bit. I started looking with a flashlight. And at that point, I saw this huge thing. It looked like it was on 2 legs walking away from us, like into the wood line. It was like a split second. And we were just like, oh, my God, like, what is – it's a bear. It has to be a bear. Like, we were just young, and we were scared, really, really scared. So that night, you know, we didn't sleep the entire night. As soon as, like, sunlight hit, I remember, like, us leaving. We, like, started packing, and I was like, I'll stick to books, like, if I want to accomplish a goal, you know. So the funny thing is that day we were putting stuff away, getting ready to leave the mountain, and he looked for the box of granola bars, but we never found it ever. Like, it was gone. No wrappers or anything like that. So that for years, I always felt like, what was that? You know, for years, and you know, you get married and you have kids and you work, and it's just life. But always in the back of my mind, it always bothered me. So when I was a stay-at-home mom, when I had my kids and they were young, about 6 years ago, I was talking to a friend of mine, and she's like, I told her the story about that, and she said, like, have you ever considered, like, a Bigfoot? And I don't even know why she brought that up, and I'm like, I didn't really know what that was. I remember seeing, like, the Patty footage when I was a kid, but I was never a sci-fi girl. I never, like, believed in UFOs and ghosts. I wasn't that type of a girl, you know. I was more, you know, just here and now type thing.
Yeah.
So what happened was I started, like, looking at channels on YouTube. I never had a Facebook account at that point. And, I was busy being, a stay-at-home mom and volunteering at my daughter's school and stuff. But I met this woman named Barbara Shoup, and it was an honor to meet her. She's a beautiful, wonderful person, and she invited me to come to like one of her first campouts. So I told her it would be a dream of mine to be with her, just to see old structures, and not ever thinking I would ever see a Sasquatch, because you have to be lucky to see one. That's what my mind was telling me. And she invited me out there, so that was like the first time I went back camping, because I was always so terrified of like what happened to us like when we were kids. And I never shared that really with anyone. So what happened was I went with Barb for a week, and it was the most amazing experience of my life. Like, I got to experience everything that has to do with a Sasquatch. So we had like a rock thrown at us. We heard the screams at night. And then one day we were walking, and we were on a trail, and then Barbara pointed she wanted to show us like a structure. And so we got off the trail, and then we ended up walking down a little bit off the trail. And that sense that you guys get when you feel like you're being watched. It's just that, like that weird feeling. So on the camera, she videotapes when we're out there, but she doesn't say, okay, I'm going to push the button on record now. She wants everything to be as natural as possible. So she wouldn't tell us when she was recording or not. And she had like an iPod on her, like on a stick. So you could see me on the camera, and you see like me looking, like I'm looking around the woods as she's talking about this like log that's been like twisted or whatever. And all of a sudden I see the creature, and he was about 75 feet from me. And I saw his eyes, his hair, his long arms. And when I looked at him, we were eye to eye. He had that look of, the way I can express it, the way to make it you guys understand is, when you walk in when somebody's getting dressed and you walk in on them and you're kind of like spooked. You're like, oh, sorry, like I didn't see you, like sorry. Well, that's the expression it gave to me, and I saw fear in his face, like I've been detected. That's what I felt. And right away he jumped off a tree, and then he took like 2 bipedal steps and just took off like really fast at that point. So, and I've never seen like during the day like a Sasquatch. So to me, I was like, oh my God, what was that? Like, what was that creature? And it was kind of controversial. She called it a cloaked video, and it wasn't cloaked because I was there and I saw like the creature, like the hair, the eyes, everything. I saw the whole thing, but on the camera it looked translucent. And
weird.
That was very interesting. It was kind of controversial or whatever, but
were you at a different angle than Barb was from where she was filming?
Oh yeah, I was much closer to like the creature than she was, like about 10 feet maybe behind me. So she was a little bit
behind you.
Yeah, like on the side, like on the left side. Yeah.
Okay.
So, and at that point, that day, like changed my life. I said, oh my gosh, like they do exist. So for me, that question was answered. Do they exist? Do they not exist? So for me, that was like confirmation. Okay, they're real. Like I saw one, flesh and blood, solid black eyes. It looked weird. Like it had like an alienish looking face, and then it had hair all over, like a chimpanzee looking like. It had like black almond-shaped eyes, and it had like, I could even see when he went down the tree, like I saw as he went down the tree, I saw his hands like scratch through like the wood. It was so quick, and I played that over and over in my mind for days, and I couldn't sleep for days because I just didn't understand what I saw. Like it still took me time to process what was happening. And that day I just decided, you know what, like I got to change my life. Like I wasn't very happy in my life at that point. I didn't have a healthy marriage, and I just felt stuck, like in a rut of life. And I decided, like, life is way too short, and I have to start, exploring. Like, this is something that I'm completely fascinated with. And so I did. So I changed my life. I lost 120 pounds since that day, and working out and going into the woods and meeting other researchers. And I've had the pleasure of working with so many awesome people. And sometimes the Facebook community can be ugly, but it also can be really, really a beautiful experience. And, I appreciate the support that I have. And I've got to work with Adam Davies, and, there's so many people like Arla, just a lot of people that I just love, and I ended up getting divorced. I had to change my life, and for better. I just started becoming more positive as a person. So this Sasquatch experience for me, it was a positive thing. It wasn't like, how some people have them, they're chased and it's traumatic for them. People start drinking, they start doing drugs because they can't cope with what they, PTSD type thing.
Yes,
So,
I know. I have the PTSD type thing.
Yes. It's very hard for some people. It's just, and I was lucky the encounter I had then was great. So I can't even imagine like what people go through when it's a bad one, because it's already traumatic just seeing one, and then when it's a bad encounter, it's like, oh my gosh, So,
That makes you not want to go into the woods very much for a long time, I'll tell you that much.
Oh, true. So, so I've been, going out to like Oregon, and I've been in woods, and I'm traveling. I go places, and I live in Los Angeles in Southern California, and we have a place where there's beautiful mountains here, and it's called Big Bear. I don't know if anybody's ever heard of it, but it's beautiful. And that's the only mountains we really have in Southern California that's worthwhile. It's thousands and thousands of acres of beauty, and I decided to move there because I wanted to dedicate more Sasquatch. I wanted to be out in the woods more. And to be honest with you, I moved here March of 2016. And when I came here, I just looked at all the terrain, and I'm like, oh, my gosh, where do I start? It's like a needle in a haystack. So I had some friends that they've had sightings, and they told me what trails to go to, and I did. But I didn't see anything, didn't find anything. So one day, I about a mile from my home, there's a trail, and it looks like a small little trail, nothing big, nothing really that beautiful. But Ed and I had a date night. Ed is my other half. His name is Ed Brown. He's been so supportive for everything in my life, and I'm very grateful to him. I said, let's go hiking. Let's go check out this trail, by our house. And he's like, all right, let's go. So my girls were with their father, and him and I went on that trail, and it was very beautiful. But honestly, it wasn't a lot of Sasquatch signs. I didn't see X structures, and the things that people see when they look. Right. It looks kind of squatchy. So the only thing that I noticed
that there was anything around there to speak of.
Right. It's just it was just fun, and the interesting thing was there was on the trail there's like a curve, and within 100 feet there's 3 trees that are still alive that have been pushed blocking the trail. So I told Ed, that's weird. I wonder why these trees are down. That's just weird. And they're big trees. I'm not talking little twigs, and you have to kind of walk around the trail just to get around the tree and then get back on the trail. It's blocking that. You couldn't bring a car through it. You'd have to move the trees. But we went that day, and we went Facebook Live, had fun. It was a great time. So we went home with nothing happening. So a couple of days later, I get my daughters back from their dads, and I always see them on their phones and stuff, and I want them to love life, and I want them to see I don't want them to be on Snapchat and online all the time. I want them to see the beauty that God has given us, and I try to encourage to do healthy things with them. So I said, do you guys want to go on a hike? And just so you know, they haven't really been camping too much, and she's 15, my daughter, and then my other one's 11 years old, 2 daughters. And they're like, yeah, we're so excited, So we cooked dinner, and we ate, we did homework, and then around 6:15, 6:30ish, like I said, we're just going to go on a quick little walk, because it's getting dark. It gets dark around 7:15 California time. So as I was driving there, I was telling the girls, okay, this is the first time that I'm taking you guys alone, with no one. And I told my daughter this, which is very interesting, but I said, look, we live in the mountains, it's not the city anymore, and there's bears, and there's mountain lions, and I was teaching them, you don't ever run from a bear when you see one, and that mountain lions get you from the back, and they can, jump from a tree to get you. I said they're very sneaky. You have to always look around you, always look behind, always look front. And I said, never show fear, always be strong. And they were like, okay, Mom, rolling their eyes, and I gave my daughter, for some reason, my car keys that day, and I said, here, in case something happens, it's an emergency. And then I got a lighter with a plastic bag, and I gave it to her, and I said, here, in case something happens, even though we're just going for a mile hike, I always want them safety. They have to learn safety. So my youngest daughter, Jenna, was in front, and then I had my middle daughter that was in the middle, and I was in the back. So it was the 3 of us, in line. And I always go in the back because of mountain lions. And a neighbor told me, be careful with that trail. There's, mountain lions and bears there. I'm like, okay, thanks. So I was a little nervous. Not for myself, but for them. So as we walk, I showed them the first tree that's been pushed down, and they enjoyed it. They were being kids, and they were climbing on the tree and stuff, acting like little monkeys. And we were being loud. We were singing, and my daughter was skipping, and we were just having a great time, family time. And the second tree we
trees
passed.
they pushed over? Do you know what the diameter was at the base about?
Don't, but you know what? That's a great thing. I will measure it. But they're on my Facebook page, but they're pretty big. I'm not sure if it's, I don't know, maybe a pine, maybe a cedar tree. I don't even know. But I'll check. Thank you for for asking me that question. But I will get back to you on that.
It's not that easy to push a tree over, and if it's beyond a certain size, you can pretty much rule out all the normal animals in the area. It would have to be mechanical or weather related.
Yeah, I'm gonna check that out. I was just thinking right now what kind of tree it is, but there's all different kinds of trees there. I was just talking to Todd, and he was telling me about the different trees that are out there and how hard they are to topple over. But so what happened was, so we go, and at this point, so you guys know, my daughter got an iPhone and she's super excited about her phone, so she's videotaping us actually through the entire trail. She's just being silly, being a girl, and she has Snapchat, so she posts things on her Snapchat. So my little daughter was skipping at the very front, and she's probably 100 feet away from me, the little one. And I kept telling her, okay, just wait for me, hold on, don't go off too much. I always want to have an eye on them to see where they're at. So at one point we get to I take a picture of my daughter, and my little one's not even knowing that I'm taking a picture. I took a picture of my daughter, and that's posted on Facebook. And then she goes around the tree, and then all of a sudden, this is when my heart starts to race. So picture you being a mom. Your precious cargo you're responsible for him. And then all of a sudden, I see her turn her head left, going right, like she's watching something in front of her, like as it's moving. And then all of a sudden, she freezes, completely freezes, and then her hands go down to her side. So for a split second, my middle daughter, Christina, didn't notice anything. I noticed it, and I thought, oh, shoot, I hope she's not seeing something. At this point, I can't see what's in front of her because we're at a curve. So then my daughter catches up to her, and then she freezes, and they don't even, they're just frozen. And I knew at that point, oh, shoot, they see something. They see, I was thinking bear, I don't know why, but I was thinking they see a bear or something. So what I do is I run for my life. I've never ran so fast. As I'm running behind them, my youngest daughter turns around at me just to see who's coming back there, and I saw her expression on her face. And in 11 years, I have never seen my daughter so horrified, ever, ever. And she says, we need to go home now. And I'm as I'm running, I pass her, and I go about 50 feet maybe in front of them. And right there, I just stopped. And for some reason, I kept walking closer to it. And the first thing in my mind, the first thing I thought of is don't get any closer. And that was me telling myself, don't get any closer, because I was still walking as I'm looking at this thing. And it was a creature. It was a Sasquatch, and he was so big. And the thing is that I was down, okay, it goes down the trail, and then there's an embankment that goes down about 20 feet, and then there's trees. So at this point, I'm looking at this creature, and he's just solid, no expression, just looking at me. And then you could see him move his eyes, look at me, my daughter, and my youngest daughter. And then all of a sudden, I looked at him, and I'm asking my daughter, is he moving, or do you see a head? Do you see a shoulder? I'm trying to ask her, are you seeing what I'm seeing, type thing. And then they're behind me. I'm staring at the Sasquatch, and I don't know why, but I said whoop, I did a whoop at him. And at that point, he just stared at me, and then I'm this isn't really happening. This cannot be happening. There's no. No. I was seriously in shock, even though I know about them, and I'm so dedicated to see them. And then when you see them, you're and I'm so dumb. I go out there all the time looking for them, but I never thought in my head, what happens if you do see one? What are you going to do? What are you going to do if it runs at you? What are you going to do? I never played those scenarios in my head. And for all of you researchers out there, you might want to play that scenario, because when you do see one, you don't know how to react. It's kind of funny. It's almost common sense, but not common sense.
I swear to God. Mom? Is it by the tree? Yeah. I swear to God. Mom? Is it by the tree? Yeah. Yeah.
I want to go home now. Did it move? Yes.
Mom? Yeah.
I want to go home now. Did it move?
Right.
But,
Let me give you an analog for that. This is one of my favorite things to look at when I'm not 100% occupied with Bigfoot. I like to keep track of high-altitude alpine expeditions, especially in the Karakorums around the 8,000-plus meter mountains. And during the spring, they go up and do, and a lot of these guys do like satellite uplinks and stuff now, so you can actually get feed from the side of the mountain while they're going up the darn thing. And a lot of them end up getting killed. And a lot of the ones that end up getting killed, the reason they get killed is because all they think of is the goal of the top of the mountain, and they don't realize that's only halfway there.
Yeah.
And you need to still have the energy to get down again.
Yes.
So, yeah, finding Bigfoot is all fine and great. It's like getting to the top of K2. Okay, you're at the top of K2. The sun just went down. Now what do you do?
Yeah, very true. I never thought that. And I'm learning as I go along because I'm still like learning, and that's very true. And one thing that I learned recently is like when I used to hike in the woods by myself, I never look behind me ever. I just go in front. I mean, I would look behind me just to see if there's anything following me or whatever, but and then I got lost, and I got lost in the woods, and no cell phone reception, so I'm kind of panicking a little bit. But I've learned that when you do go hiking for safety reasons, look back and find a marker, because when you walk the other direction going back home, like you need to know where to go,
Yeah,
those are
you need
that
to
I'm
already
learning.
know what it looks like. That's general procedure if you're walking around the woods just using dead reckoning and you don't have a compass with you, which like I don't usually even bother to carry one. I look at a topo map, and then when I get there, here's where I am on it. Okay, I know what's approximately in every direction. Let's go. And that's exactly what you do. Every 100 yards or so, you turn around and look, and it establishes a mental road map in your mind. So when you're going back that direction, you know what scenes to look for.
Yeah, that is so important. Well, I had to learn the hard way,
Yeah.
but I guess that's how you learn, I wish someone would have told me that, but I'm still learning. So everything is a process, of course, in the Sasquatch world, but
Oh, yeah.
So,
well, and some of us, it's like I grew up out in the woods doing all this stuff all the time. So for me, this is all stuff that I've been doing since I was a little kid, So
that's so cool.
That was, the other stuff was the learning process. The how to run around the woods and get into trouble part, I had that mastered by the time I was 8. No problem there.
That's funny. It's funny here. It's where you grow up, because here I live in L.A. Like, all we have is buildings and smogs, So when I talk about, hey, do you want to go hiking with me? Like, my friends in L.A., they'll be like, why? Like, let's go to the Grove. The Grove is like a mall where all the celebrities go to and stuff. It's funny how people grow up in different, places, and so that's kind of fun.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, a lot of time we didn't think of it so much as fun as just like an impediment, because distances were vast and you had to cross them to get to your friend's house.
Well, yeah.
Sometimes there were huge woods in the way, and the only thing you had was a bicycle. And
Yeah.
that isn't creepy, especially when you're coming back at night through like a couple miles of woods by yourself on a bicycle.
Oh, my gosh, scary.
So,
I
different
see.
experiences.
Now I wouldn't feel comfortable with my daughters going by themselves. Like, no, there's no way. What I know now, no. No,
Yeah.
it's so funny how we grow up in different times, But I remember being young and coming home like 7 at night. And my mom's like, oh, were you gone? It's like we're so different now how we raise our kids, type thing. A little bit more cautious, I guess we have to be in this world. But
So it's getting back to the encounter then, at the point where you saw this thing and you were way out in the lead.
yeah, so I whooped at him, and then I noticed he like stared at me. And at that point, my daughter's like, Mom. All I hear is like, Mom. And then like I work in the medical profession, so when it's chaos and people are freaking out, you have to be assertive and tell them like, you need to stop. Like, you need to calm down, take a deep breath, stop. Like, you have to seriously be a little bit aggressive. And my poor kids, that part of me came out, and I said to them, like, you both need to stop. Nothing's going to happen. Just calm down. Don't panic. Like, I was very, like, almost, like, kind of aggressive, towards them, because they were, like, losing control. Like, my little one at that point starts bawling. Like, and that's when I told her, it's going to be okay. Like, Jenna, it's going to be okay. So she kept saying, I want to go home. I want to go home. Like, she just, like, almost starts hyperventilating, crying. My middle daughter, I just hear her saying, Mom, Mom, Mom. So when I'm looking at him again, I do a whoop, like whoop, So during this whole encounter, people ask me this question, and I'll answer it. I had one hand had bear spray, and one had my cell phone. I had my cell phone and bear spray in my other hand. And I don't know why, but I raised my hands up in the air, and I said, look, I come in peace. and he just stared at me like, what are you talking about? Nutty woman, like. So I raised my hands. I said, look, like, I know they know weapons. I know they know that men can kill from a far distance, I feel, my opinion. So dumb me has like bear spray in one hand, and he looks at me, and let me just tell you what he looked like. He looked like a Neanderthal man. Like one of our heads, he had like 3 of our heads. That's how big he was. He had like a cone-shaped head, but not too cone. It wasn't too pointy. But I remember how like barrel-chested he was. And on the picture in the camera, it looks like he's like staring straight at us, but he was kind of at an angle. And he was an orangutan, like reddish color. He wasn't like black, like on the video. I don't know why that it looks like that, but his hair was kind of like all over the place, like when somebody just wakes up, like a guy with kind of like long, shortish hair, and there's like their hair sticking up everywhere. That's what he looked like. But his eyes were solid black, almost like a raccoon. It looked like a raccoon mask type. He didn't show his teeth. He had, that's all I remember. I didn't see his fingers, his hands. I just saw from the chest up, like his head, and that was enough to see. And I don't know why I call him he, because he just looked like the alpha to me, in my opinion. And he just looked enormous. And so my next thought, I don't know. I want to do like a measurements, but unfortunately he was like 30 feet up on a tree. And then there's like a Y stick, and he was in between the Y. But behind the Y, there's like another huge thick branch that he was like sitting on or standing on. So I wish I could tell you the measurement. I just don't know. It's too high to get up there to measure. Like I know there's like a couple knuckles on the branch, and that's where his head was. So I thought maybe we can get someone out here and like get a ladder somehow and like do like a size comparison. Because if you see like a normal man and then like compare the pictures, you'll see how big he is. You really don't know the
size. Get up there with the tape measure and measure the span in between the 2 branches where he was sitting, and then you get a complete from that and the approximate height. You just take a picture of the same spot, the same thing from the ground, right?
Yeah.
And then you get up there on a ladder and you take a picture of the same spot with the tape measure across it and standing upright so you can tell the detail.
I will do that.
Tell you exactly how big he was.
I will do that. I just got to find someone with like an aluminum ladder. It's kind of about a mile into the woods, so it's not like close to like a parking lot, So it's we have to drag that ladder in.
Get a lumberjack that's got the climbing spikes. That's where you go up.
Yeah. Oh, that's true. I need to get that too. I was thinking about that today.
Actually, believe it or not, I have a set of those in case I have to go do investigating way up in a tree. Yes, I have them. So.
Okay, thank you. What happened was I whooped at him, and then I raised my hands and I said, like, I come in peace. And at that point, my daughter's like, I didn't know this, but my daughter behind me was like videotaping it. And
oh my God.
So she got it on her iPhone, and she videotaped it twice. And the interesting thing is, like, on the video, like that she recorded for like 5 seconds, she was so scared, And I'm so proud of her for like having the courage, because I thought about videotaping it, but then I know they don't like cameras, or I don't want to point something at him and like say cheese, Like
right.
when you're in front of like a massive like wild animal, like you're not gonna like say like hold on a second, can you smile? It's like that's not real life. Like I'm too scared, And at that point, he starts to rock back and forth, like left to right, like, and it starts to get faster, like, and I thought, oh my God, like now I have to go. So what I did is I told my girls, slowly, like, turn around, do not run, and I will walk behind you. Just start walking slowly, and right away, like my little one, she turns around and almost starts to run. I'm like, Jenna, like, don't you dare run. So I remember I turned around, like I didn't really care. I acted like I wasn't afraid of him. I acted like I see him every day, like, hey, how are you? But deep inside my soul, I was like, please don't come near us, like, please. Because if he did come near us, I mean, I know he's a Sasquatch. He'll take me out in a second, but I would have jumped on it, and I would have done whatever I could for my daughter's life, anything.
Yeah, you still got to freak them out, though. You got to make them think that I'm not scared of you. I have a secret weapon or something that you don't know about.
I faked it until I made it. So, so at that point, we start walking away from him. I turn around once again and I say, "Thank you for showing yourself," like eye to eye, just confident. "Thank you for showing yourself." And my daughter's like, "Mom," she's just like. So as we were walking, like I don't remember a lot of things, but when we were having the encounter, like on the video, you'll hear a wood knock at the very beginning of like the encounter, and that was like I didn't even hear it when everything was happening. It's really weird. But the only way I know that there was a wood knock is because she videotaped it, and I hear the wood knock on the record on the video. So to make the long story short, we were walking back to the car, and I have to tell you, like, I have never been so happy to see my car ever. Like, I was like, oh, there, you know, like I call my car Charlie. Like, there's Charlie, girls. You know, we're gonna be okay. You know, and my girls were shaking at that point. I was shaking, and I kept just looking behind me, side up on the trees, everything, just feeling like I'm gonna be ambushed. Like, you know, when you're in a car and you say you have an experience like that, not that I have had that experience, but you kind of feel a little safe, like you're in a car, you know, but not not me that day. But so we get in the car.
You see how big they are, you don't feel so safe anymore.
Oh my gosh, you know, people say like
the door shred it off with one hand, no problem. No,
right.
God.
Well, the one in Washington was like, it was like 5 feet. He was like a juvenile, so like that was cool. Like I was like, hey, that was so cool, you know. And not really in real life, like alpha. Look at an alpha, and you'll be like, I'm good. But we got in the car, and the girls locked their doors right away. And then I looked at my daughter, the little one, and I said, are you guys okay? And they said, yeah, like, we're okay. And then my daughter's like, let's go. She's like, let's go, Mom. Like, so I said, like, Christina, what did you see? And she said, Mom, I can't even talk to you right now. Like, please, let's just go home. Like, she was so done. Like, I'm like, okay, we're going to be okay. Reassuring them we're going to be okay, because we are at that point. So my little one says, well, when I saw both of them running, she's like, I didn't know I thought it was a fox at first, but then when they started running out of the bushes, and then I'm like, wait, repeat that again? She's like, there was 2 of them, and she said they were both running in front of me, and that's when I saw her go from left to right. She was following something, and she goes, they ran behind the big one. So I said, are you telling me you saw 3 of them today? And she said, yes, like I saw 3 of them today. And, I mean, she was so traumatized, and she still is traumatized about it, to the point where, like, I started a group called Understanding Bigfoot, and I'm working with a PhD, a child psychologist, to help other people, other parents, help their children understand what they saw. I can't even, like, understand it. We need to help our kids, our future, you know. And we started driving home, and I would look in my rearview mirror as we were leaving the trail, and I was like, please, like, thank you, God, for us being safe. And at that point, we get home, and Ed Brown, he does, like, he interviews people, and I'm thinking in my head, like, when I come home right now, how am I going to tell Ed, like, hey, how was your hike? It was good. I ran into a Sasquatch, and he'd be like, yeah, right, I'm sure you did. You know, it's like when we're into this field, and then your other half is, like, at home waiting for you to come home, and then you say, hey, we saw a Sasquatch. You know, he was like, and I told him, I said, Ed, like, this is what we saw. Like, I'm not kidding. This is real. Like, and at that point, my daughter hears me talking to him, and he's like, you probably saw a man out there. And we're like, yeah, he was a man, but like a Neanderthal man with a lot of hair. And my daughter goes, Ed, I videotaped it. Do you want to see it? And at that point, like, we all fall out of our couch. You know, we're like, yeah, we want to see it. So I didn't even know she videotaped at this point, because I was standing, you know, looking at the creature.
Yeah, you were in front of her. You didn't know what she was doing behind you.
Yeah, I didn't see her do that. So I was really proud of her for doing that. And she was very smart to do that. And so sure enough, you know, we see the video, and it's just confirmation of what we saw. So we go back out the next day. And by the way, that night we didn't sleep, like the 3 of us. We were, like, still thinking about what we saw. So we went back out, Ed and I, and he wanted to do a size comparison. So then when we go there, we see that there's like an embankment, and then it's like 25 feet up in the tree, 30 feet he was up on the tree. And we looked at the tree. There was no, like, bear claws, like it climbing up a tree. Let's say it was a bear. It wasn't. But if it was, it would have left, like, evidence of it climbing the tree with, like, its claws, you know. And
absolutely. Even any medium-sized bear will usually leave some sort of, you know, easy to find evidence that they went up a tree, because that's how they get purchased on it. They grab with those claws.
Yeah, I wish, you know, there was a part of me that I wish I was alone, because I wish I could have seen the creature, like, get off the tree, or, I mean, God knows what would have happened, and I should have known better. I know that they're never alone. You know, it's like I should have known better, but you're so, like, in the moment, you can't even fathom.
Yeah.
And then I went through a period where I was, like, thinking in my head, like, what am I doing here? Like, why am I doing this? Like, why am I going into the woods? Like, this is nuts. Like, I'm a mom. Like, I got to take care of my kids, you know, and this is not okay. Like, this is dangerous, you know, and it kind of hit me, and I was depressed for a little while, just, like, feeling like I don't want to be in this anymore. Like, this is not fun anymore. You know, it's like, you know, it was fun in Washington because it wasn't so intimidating. But when you're face to face with a huge creature, maybe 800 pounds, you're like, oh, no weapon, just bear spray, and when you look at one, not that I want any harm to them, because I do love the Sasquatch species. I love them, and I feel that they are some good, some bad, just like us humans. Where some of us are good, some of us are bad, and I believe that they have a family, like a clan, and they take care of their own. I feel they're extremely intelligent, more smarter than us, when it comes to the wild. And so I went through a period of time where I was just kind of like, I didn't know what to do. But I felt like I can't let something good like this go under without doing anything to help others with it. And my life is all about helping people. I don't think much of myself. I like to help other people with anything they need. Like, I will drop a hat for anything that anybody needs. And I love people. I love visiting with people. I love listening to people's encounters, and so that's where I stand with that. But what really got me upset, it wasn't even like the sighting itself, but I called the Forest Service, being responsible, and I called it's like the sheriff's department, and I said, hi, my name is Claudia. I'm not crazy. I'm not on drugs. You could do a drug test or lie detector test. I want to tell you something, and I'm not being I'm not joking. I saw a Sasquatch. I want to report it. And she was very nice, but she's like, okay, I really don't know who to help. I don't know who does it, if it's the Forest Service or Fish and Game. She goes, let me have your phone number, and then I will call you back, and I'll find out who will help you with this, because I don't get these calls every day. I'm like, okay. So sure enough, 3 minutes later, my phone goes off, and it was this lady, and she said, hi, I'll call her Debbie from the Forest Service. And you had a sighting of a Sasquatch? I said, yes, I did. And I said, so did my daughters. And also, we have it on tape. We have video. We have pictures. We have a 22-inch footprint that was by the tree. I said, it's a pretty big footprint. And she's like, I need to come to your house right now. Right away. She jumped on it, which I was excited. So I gave her my address. She came over. She was very professional in her uniform, and I shook her hand. I said, very nice to meet you. She came into my home, and I told her everything I just told you guys. I didn't do the Yosemite part. I just told her about the encounter the girls and I had. Right. And I asked her, first she said to me, I am talking to my supervisor. He's actually with me right now, but he's at the office, and I have to text him everything you're telling me. And I thought that was interesting. I'm like, okay. So she's typing away on her cell phone, and then she said, let me see the video. So then I show her the video, and then I'm pointing out, okay, this is the head. I mean, let me tell you guys, it's not the perfect sparkling clear video. None of them are. Yeah. But when you're having an encounter
or anything, yeah.
Yeah, so don't get so it looks. I mean, you can see the creature and stuff. It's just not the details of it as much.
Yeah.
But
you're taking it with a cell phone. Ooh, incredibly high detail, high quality.
A 15-year-old took it too. Yeah. So I mean, she saw it right away. She's like, "Is that it?" And I said, "Yeah, that's it." So she's like, "Okay." So, and her mouth dropped at that point. She got really quiet, very serious, and she's almost in disbelief. That's what I feel that's what my thoughts are telling me. So she texts him back, and then she says, "You saw a bear." Oh no, she texts him, and then he responds, and then she says, "You saw a bear," and I said, "Oh no, I did not see a bear." And she goes, "No, it's probably a bear that you saw," and I said, "No, this was not a bear," and she's like, "Well," I said, "Look, it had no snout. It didn't have ears pointy. It was like a Neanderthal man in the face, and he didn't look very happy to see us." And I'm looking at her, and eye to eye. I'm not going to back down. She said, "Well, we do have a zoo here. I know you just moved here, but an orangutan got lost at the zoo when we can't find him. So Big Bear is about 30 miles from my house." So I said, "Okay, but I know it wasn't an orangutan. This was not an orangutan. No. It was big like an orangutan, but the face was totally different." And I said, "No, this wasn't an orangutan." And then I told her it was a cinnamon color. It looked like an orangutan color. And she said, "Well, we have cinnamon bears." So she hands me a pamphlet on how to protect yourself against bears. And I'm like, "What's this for?" She's like, "It's to protect yourself against bears." And I said, "I really appreciate your pamphlet of bears, but I don't need it. I need a Sasquatch information about Sasquatch."
Well, it was the pamphlet on how to protect yourself from Sasquatch.
Right. So this is interesting. I said to her, "I want to ask you some questions now." She's like, "Okay." And I said, "Look, I'm not crazy. I'm a mom." I said, it's not okay. From woman to woman, I know you have a job. I understand you have to do your thing. but I'm going to tell you something. I said, I'm a very strong-willed person, and I said, do the right thing, because I said, if a mother goes there with two little babies, like 3-year-old, 2-year-olds, by herself in the woods, taking her kids on a hike, I said, people need to be warned about what's out, the real stuff that's out there, and I said, like, that's not okay, and she just looked at me, she kind of, like, nodded her head, like, sorry, like, yeah, I get you, and so at that point, she tells me, and I said to her, I want to ask you a question. Has there ever been a Sasquatch or anything unusual on that trail? And she said, no. Right away, no. Oh, okay. So and I said, so there's never been any accidents or anything happening on that trail. Are you telling me no? And she said, well, there was like a Boy Scout troop that was out there, like they're earning their badges, and she said one of them didn't listen to his master, and unfortunately a bear got inside of his tent, and the boy was very, very, very injuriously bad, like really bad. Like I don't even know how bad he was. I wanted to get more information on it, but I said, well, that's a shame, and I'm sorry to hear that, She's like, yeah, but she goes, what we'll do is we'll drive around there and just drive around where? Like I'm thinking in my head, like, what are you going to drive around? Like where the parking lot is? Like what do you mean drive around there? You can't even drive in there. There's like trees blocking the trail, even for a fire, I was so frustrated at this point. And I felt like ashamed. I felt like this isn't right. Like, why should I feel ashamed? And I'm thinking in my head, there are so many people that have encounters. Who did it go to? So I work in the medical profession, and I have friends that are doctors, and I asked one, I said, so let me ask you something. They know I'm into Sasquatch, and they really respect the fact that I'm so passionate. They see it in my soul that I've seen one. I've seen them. Like, and they ask questions. They're curious. They know me. And I said, if you saw a Sasquatch, Dr. H, let's call him, you and your wife were out there, what would you do? And he's like, well, he starts thinking, he's like, well, I certainly wouldn't call 911. And I said, why not? And he said, because they'll laugh at me. They'll think I'm crazy. I'm like, okay, so who would you call? And he said, I don't know. I guess I would Google, like, something with Bigfoot, like on Google to see what I could find. I said, okay, fair enough. And that just kind of gave me confirmation of, I don't know. Well, poor people that go out there and have these encounters, like Wes and Woody, they didn't know about Sasquatch. I'm sure they weren't into Sasquatch when they were out there. Look at the encounter they had, and so many thousands of people have these encounters, and nothing is being done about it, nothing. And that's not okay. I'm sorry. We pay our taxes. Like, that's not okay, So I'm all about truth, and, I've offered to take a lie detector test, anything I have, but I have, like, DNA evidence. I have hair. I have, like, footprints. I have had a sighting there. So recently I went back out in the woods, and I left, like, a note, like, on a piece of cardboard, just something cheesy. And I said, like, if anybody here has any unusual experiences on this trail, please give me a call. There will be no judgment. Please call me. Like, and then I didn't write my name. I just wrote my cell phone number. And 4 people called me, 4 people that I don't even know. And I met all 4 of them, and they were all very nice. And one of them had a sighting at night with an albino Sasquatch, and he said it just terrified him and his brother. And and I asked him questions like, well, why did you go without a flashlight? I was like an investigator. Well, why did you do this? Just trying to see if it's an accurate story. And I saw a couple, and they said that they heard these growls. They were so scared, and they're like in their 60s. They're retired up here, and they exercise every morning on that trail. And they said, we'll show you where like the growl was, and it was kind of like in an isolated area, like a narrow path. And they were sharing with me like how horrible and how scared they were that they picked up their dog because they were afraid it was like a mountain lion. They didn't know what it was. But they said that they've have had like rocks thrown at them, and they didn't know where it came from. And now it all makes sense when I met them, because they said, oh, now it makes sense. Like now I know what it was, and that felt really good to like watch someone like kind of have answers to like what they thought it might be. It was a good feeling to see that, and I love helping people, so that made my day. So one lady called me, the third lady called me and said that she lives actually on that trail, and there's houses like at the entrance. And she said, I've never had an experience there, but what are those screams at night? And I go, oh, okay, like that's what you've experienced. And then I explained the whole thing to her, and now I talk to her and I give her information that I know, no one's experienced, and, so that's my story. So, and like the 4th guy, he said that he's kind of like the policeman on the trail, and he always like looks out for people, and, he's always concerned about that trail. And he said that it's Indian territory, and he just says he's had some weird experiences. He's not comfortable speaking about it. And I said, okay, but thank you for your time, and thank you for for protecting people, for helping people out there. So that was really nice. I don't know why you need a security guard for a trail.
Yeah, Indian Territory. What does that mean? Is there old?
It was Indian land, and Indians live there, I believe. The older couple researched it before they even met me. They were so fascinated with what the growl they heard. They said it was owned by Indians, the land. So, and I think she found a couple weird things, like really old things that maybe made by Indians that she artifacts. I forgot what she told me what it was, but so they go off the trail. They don't just stay on the trail. They kind of explore into the woods out in that trail. So yeah. So
wow. Yeah, that's uncomfortably way too close to where you're living. Also, there's another concern for you.
I know.
And the same thing with me. My first encounter was about 3 miles from the house I grew up in. The second one was right in the front yard of it. So that's way, way, way too close to where you live. So yeah, I can totally relate to that. So at that point, you'd done more research and you knew what you were dealing with, and you had talked to the locals, and the same thing they'd noticed up there. There's weird stuff going on, and probably helped some of them figure out what it was. What was the next step at that point?
Well, at that next step, going through a lot of emotions, thinking, what can I do to change things? I mean, as a researcher, and I don't even call myself a researcher because I'm really not. I'm just someone who's very interested in the whole Sasquatch, and I'm very fascinated by it. It really rocked my world, seeing one, and then seeing another one that it even shook my major earthquake in my head, and I prayed a lot, and I talked to my kids, and I was sitting with them, and I said, I just feel compelled to, do something different, do something, and I'm not going to let fear stop me. Everybody's scared of something in their life, and I wake up every morning, and when I am scared of something, something in my life, let's say I'm scared of wearing an orange T-shirt. Let's make an example. Well, that day I will go buy an orange T-shirt and wear it, for 3 days in a row because I want to conquer that fear. I'm not going to let fear stop me, Right. So I have lived my life. I've traveled all over the world. I love my children. I have a great life. I have a beautiful house. I'm just so blessed with the things that I have that I just don't, I have a lot more that I want to help others with. So say that, what I decided to do, are you ready for this, you guys? I filed a lawsuit against the California government for derelict of their duty, which means they're not doing their job. You cannot go to people and tell them that they saw a bear walking on 2 legs and being chased, or you cannot, even if it's a beautiful experience, you cannot tell people, no more lies. I've had enough of the lies. And I'm going to go to court, and I'm going to fight really hard for all of us. And all I'm doing this for, my dedication, is for the eyewitnesses, for the species. We are so all over their world, their land, chopping down trees, and it's at a point now, we're in the year 2000. It's time for a change. No more BS, and I've decided to I filed a class action lawsuit, not with the governor of California, but the man below him, with this John Laird, and the fish and the Forest Service. I have a countersuit claim because. And I want you guys to know that I'm not suing for any money, no emotional damages, oh my God, I can't even have an expedition here, especially in Los Angeles, because they say, well, Sasquatch isn't real. Why are we going to go on a Bigfoot expedition? It's not real. That's what someone told me, honestly. That was going to have a kids group come out here, and take them out and, show them and the people that want to learn about Sasquatch. But since the government won't acknowledge the truth, then I guess I have to do something about it, and I will. It's not okay. My dedication is to help others. What I want from them is to acknowledge that they need to do investigations because people get traumatized from what they saw, what they experienced. Not all of them, but some of them, majority of them. Thousands of people have encounters. So with so many encounters that are being reported now, it's time for the government to step up to the plate and do something about it. That's what we pay our taxes for. And I've had enough of the lies, enough of people already feel ashamed to talk about it, and that's not right, and those people that are laughing out there, they think it's all fun and games. When you go out there in the woods and you have a face-to-face encounter with a giant that can take you out within a second, and your family, then I believe that, yes, like, you need to do something about it. Like, how would you feel if you reported it after seeing something so traumatic, and then, like, somebody saying you just saw a bear? It makes you feel stupid. Nobody wants to feel stupid. You know, everybody has
to. How would you like it if somebody that you knew actually had disappeared in the woods, never to be seen again?
There you go.
How would you like it if somebody that you knew had actually been attacked by one of these things and survived it and couldn't get away with talking about it?
Right.
Well, to get back to what you were just saying, I mean, this is revolutionary. No one has ever sued the federal government or any of the states in the union concerning Bigfoot.
And I cannot believe that. I'm very, like, wow.
Yeah, it's way past due, right? You would have thought somebody would have done this like 20 years ago. But, just imagine my shock, surprise, and how incredibly stunned I am to find out that the government in California is somehow not doing their job properly. My God, who would have thought that could even happen?
Right. And, I want to tell you guys, like, I love my country. Like, I will die for my country anytime, but I don't want to live, like, I don't like lies. I don't like feeling like belittled and feel like, oh, you're weird. You like Sasquatch. No, I'm not weird, and they are real. And like, don't belittle me. It's just to a point now. All of us are working so hard out there, like boots on the ground. Like I risk my life. People risk their lives going out there. And I'm a single mom. I work as much as I can. I pay my bills. Like I'm a mom too. Like I do homework with my kids. I volunteer at their school. When people give me excuses like, I'm sorry, I can't help you because I work. Well, you know what? So do I. But it's time that someone does something. And I hope that, people laugh at me now on Facebook and they say, like, it's going to be a slam dunk case, and I know who those people are. But you know what? What have you done to help the public? What have you done to help the species? Nothing. So shut your mouth is my opinion. Why don't you come and say, hey, Claudia, I heard you're taking – what can I do to help you? Why not that attitude? But, of course, I have those people that are great, that are like, hey, Claudia, like I'm watching out after you. And, so far there's nothing, no one's followed me. I haven't had anybody come to my door to shoot me and, threaten me, Men in Black. Not yet. I will handle things when they come my way. I'm a very smart person, kind of. And I look at my surroundings and I have a lot of support. And a lot of people are mad at me because Todd Standing has like a controversial type of a reputation in the Facebook community. He's made a wonderful documentary called Discovering Bigfoot on Netflix. And, this man has gone out there and spent months alone in the woods at night, sleeping in bushes, not tents, not sleeping bags, but in bushes, and he's done a lot. And what happened was I listened to Sasquatch Chronicles with Wes, and I was sitting in my living room one night. Everybody was gone, and I was thinking oh my gosh, it was like a ring, like a bell, I need to sue the government. I need to do something about this, and this is how I'm going to do it, and I called Todd and I said, hey, I've known you for a couple of years. I know you're controversial. I don't care, you guys, if somebody said, well, he hoaxed this video, and you know what, I don't care what, I'm not into the high school game where I'm going to be well, I don't like him, so I'm not going to be your friend anymore. Then you know what, unclick me. That's okay. I'll be all right, I'm sorry, I don't sound cocky, but I'm just at a point where I'm a strong person, and I'm not going to back down. I'm not going to let anybody stop me. You can laugh at me all you want, but you know what? The funny thing is I'm going to be laughing at the end, because even if I don't win this, I hope I do, but if I don't, who knows, in 50 years somebody's going to look at my documents when I'll be dead and say, you know what, this girl took them to court for these reasons. Let's try this. There's always you never fail until you quit. And I have wonderful people that are in the law firm, and thank God for them, because they're the ones that have helped me put everything together. This is so expensive. Just for me to file the paperwork alone was $1,500. That's 1 month's rent for me.
And one of the reasons that it's never happened before, and also the listeners know, in case they don't know what you're referencing, Todd Standing, a researcher in Canada, has actually sued the Canadian government for the same thing recently. And so now they're dueling lawsuits. There's him suing the Canadian government, and there's Claudia here suing California.
And just to get straight, I'm not suing for money for myself, for my kids. Nothing. I want any penny that's ever donated will go into Sasquatch research and help public awareness. This is all. I'm doing this for eyewitnesses that need help. I'm doing these nice clans that are out there that we're taking their homes away. I'm doing this for the better. I do at night have sleepless nights when I think of, is there going to be like mass hysteria when if they say it does? Like, I worry that I'll be responsible for that. You know, I have a lot on my shoulders right now. I sat with my kids and I said, look, girls, like, I love you more than anything in the world, and I want to see you have a mommy that's strong, that mommy that when she believes in something, she will fight. No matter if all these people are laughing at her, mommy will not stop until she knows what she's doing. She knows she believes in something. But if this is going to affect you guys being made fun of at school, like, I love you, and I don't want you guys to suffer. You know, you guys have been through a lot in your life, and we went through a divorce, so that was hard on them, you know, and I said, you guys come first. Being a mom comes first in my life. So I looked at them, and they looked at me, and my oldest daughter said, Mom, if you don't do this, I will be really disappointed in you. And that made me go like, and my little girl goes, Mom, like, all my friends think you're like a really cool mom. You know, they always come over here and spend the night. So I had their blessings, and I went to my mom, and I said, Mom, you know how fascinated I am with this. And she doesn't get it. You know, she's like 70. She's like, yes. I'm taking them to court. She's like, good for you. Good luck. You know, she's real funny. And, you know, as long as I have my family supporting me, like, who cares? Like, and those people that have been so good to me, thank you. Like, you know, there's so many people, like, I can't even name off. There's just so many people that are calling me, how are you doing okay? Can I do something for you? Like, keep going. You're doing great, you know, and I thank you for that because I need that, you know, emotional support type thing. So I'm on my own now. Todd went back to Canada. He spent a week with me here, and we just worked 3 days straight on this document. 3 days. Like, I had 2 hours sleep, like, within 3 days. Like, not even kidding. We were up all night.
When did you file exactly?
January 18th, 2018.
There you
so
go.
It was last Thursday, and we filed it, and I was so excited. I wanted to cry when she did that stamp thing. So my next process is to summons them. I'm going to be doing that probably next week, and my court date will be on March 19th in the San Bernardino courthouse, and at 8:30 in the morning. So the judge is Judge David Cohn, Cohn, and he's going to be our judge. So I need you guys to please pray for me. And just remember that I'm doing this for the bigger picture, just to help people. We need to, like, do something different. We need to, like stand up and say, like, you guys need to do something, like, help us, like, you know. So
well, I got to believe that at least the higher-ups in forestry across this country know that this is going on, and they're just being complicit, going along with the government saying, oh, don't talk about it. It was a bear. Always tell them it was a bear.
Well, you know what's sad?
Well, yeah, because that alleviates you of all the lawsuits from all the people that have disappeared or been killed or some other weird stuff happened as a possible result of it. You know, and I'm not saying that it is. Like 99%. Let's assume 99% of Bigfoot are peaceful and shy and actually love humans and are afraid of us and just want to stay away from us. Well, there's still 1% that we need to be worried about. And, you know, somebody goes walking down the trail and they see a Bigfoot and they're so scared they jump off the cliff on the other side and kill themselves. Well, whose fault is that? That's the government's fault.
Right.
Because if they knew the thing wasn't likely to attack them, maybe they wouldn't jump off the cliff trying to get away from it.
Yeah. But when, you know, I'm thinking now, like, to educate the public, well, what do I need to do? Awareness is one. You know, like, if you see one, if you have a contact with one, call this number, government number. You know, have people. There's not even a primatologist that's hired in the state of, like, California. The state doesn't even hire, like, a primatologist at all. Like, so.
Well,
just
what
so
do you
guys
need
know,
I mean, look at how rarely orangutans escape it, even in your area.
I know, and they can't find them. Yeah, there's an orangutan
can't
somewhere.
find them. Yeah.
Can't find them.
You know,
so,
it's amazing as expensive and rare as those animals are that they could just go missing like that and nobody ever finds them.
I know, which is sad. But, like, you know, it's just, you know, I've made my mistakes in life, and, you know, you learn from them and you grow. And when I make a mistake, when I do something not Sasquatch related, but just a mistake, a decision that I make that is bad, I think of myself and I think, like, what can I do to help others not make this mistake, you know? And I'm not a perfect person, and, you know, I have emotions. I get my feelings hurt. Like, I cry. Like, I'm human. I'm real. Like, I get happy, I get angry. I have a temper sometimes, you know, but, like, for my heart, though, is just genuine. Just, I want to help. I'm not going to go out of this world knowing that I didn't do anything. Like, what did you do about the Sasquatch encounter you had, Claudia? Nothing? No, I'm not going to say that. I'm going to say, you know what, I did everything I could. And now I can say that, you know. I went to court. It's scary. It's scary going in. I'm going into a wolf's den, you know, but I'm not going to let fear stop me. So. I want public education. most of all, but know how big these things are. And when you have an encounter with them, I mean, people, this is one thing I wanted to say. They say that you don't have a body. You don't have a body. Right. We don't have a body. We have DNA. It comes unknown, right? But, like, if somebody came up to me and said, hey, Claudia, a Sasquatch came up to me and said, hey, Claudia, I'm sorry, but we need one of your daughters, like, to prove to the Sasquatch that you guys are really real. So which one of us, which one do you want? Which one? Pick one. Like how?
Yeah.
Like,
classification of DNA is that you can give them unknown DNA all day long, and they'll classify it as unknown DNA, and they may even say that it's an unknown primate. But that's as far as it's ever going to go. And unless you have video of somebody drawing a blood sample from a Bigfoot that he presented then to a DNA expert, it's not known as a Bigfoot sample. So you can friggin' forget about DNA samples, too. They're just being obstinate, bullheaded, and they're following their academic dogma because guess who's paying their bills? That's right, the government who's trying to keep it covered up.
Yeah. And, like, I don't want to, like, bash on the government because I love, like, the men and women that have died for us in our country. And, like, when I see a soldier, I go and shake his hand and say thank you so much. Like, thank you. I am so grateful for them. On Veterans Day, Memorial Day,
Absolutely.
I take my daughter. Huh?
I love those people, too. I'm totally on their side. They're heroes.
Of course,
there's nothing to be said about them. They're not the ones that are doing it.
Right. So we have to make a change, and that's what my plan is. And another thing that I wanted to do is, like, if somebody else wants to file in their state, like, I will fly out there and help you. I will help you through the whole, like, process. So maybe I'll be a teacher for other states, and somebody's
I'm sure other states are just really going to be thrilled to hear about that, too. But, that's like, I hope you can find somebody else that wants to do that because it would be great to get some more recognition, even if you don't win in court or something.
Of course.
That at least it's getting recognition. That, by the way, there's something out there and people are mad enough that they're actually suing the government about it at this point.
Yeah. And not for my own benefit either. It's to benefit others.
Right.
So it's the most important thing. Some people called and said, what are you suing for? How much money? Like, how much? I'm like, nothing. It's like, how much is this costing me? You want to know how much it's costing me? A lot of money,
Yeah.
And the worst part is, if I lose this case, they're going to come after me for that, for their fees. So this is like really like a big decision, and I've made it, and now I'm going to move forward and see what happens. And I'm sure, like with everything in life, like whatever the outcome is, like if it can help one person save one life, to me, I'll do this 20 times straight in a row. I'll just do it over again. Like, so one life, Duke, is so important. One life is so important.
Yep.
So that's how I feel. And that's what I say every night to myself. One life is so important. And that's just something that gives me courage, and it gives me like, yep, it is, So I hope that we can find a dead body.
I tell you what, I've been contacted by a bunch of listeners on my show who are, people that have been like lifelong involved in being in the woods and stuff and have had oddball sightings and encounters and whatnot, and they're fairly sure they saw Bigfoot, and they're all, some people have a sighting or something, and maybe they've been running around the woods 30, 40, 50 years, and they see one, they never go back again.
I know.
And a lot of these people will contact me and try and get more information, and after they get more information, it's like it puts their mind at ease. Okay, there's things we can expect and things that we probably think they're not going to do. There's some kind of a guideline at this point to what they're like and what their behavior is like.
Right.
And so it's like all of a sudden they go, okay, now if I see a bunch of structures and stuff around there, probably around there, maybe I shouldn't be in that area.
Right.
If I'm getting grunted at or if I'm getting roared at by something I don't recognize, it may be a squatch that's mad that I'm around there, I should leave. You know, and this is just like common sense safety stuff. If something's roaring at you and you don't know what it is, what are you going to do? Oh, it might be a bear. I better shoot it. Oh, you just took a shot at a Bigfoot. Wow, you're in trouble now because there's more than one there, and they're all mad at you.
Yeah. And you know what really got me focused on this encounter? And I want to talk to those two cousins, but there was these two cousins out. I think it was in Virginia. They were night fishing on a little canoe, and they were having a good time, and I guess one of the cousins has a temper, so the other one doesn't. And what happened was they were kind of near the shoreline, and the rocks started getting thrown at him, and he was like, cussing at it, like, hey, you MF, like, what are you doing? You were trying to get me? He thought it was a person throwing rocks at him, and he thought it was an African American throwing rocks like from the shore to him. So he gets super like irate, and he starts paddling, and he gets on shore, and he picks up rocks. I'm just giving you like the short version. And then he starts screaming like, and he starts throwing rocks. Well, sure enough, one of the rocks came, and I think it might have hit the Sasquatch. I'm not sure about that. Don't quote me on it. But what happened next was the Sasquatch came and just on all fours picked him up and threw him 60 feet back in the water, broke his ribs, punctured lung. And the other poor like cousin, I think he was still on the boat. I'm not really sure, but he was like shivering, and he's trying to help his cousin out of the water, like terrified of what he's just seeing right now. So the cousin's like in the ICU. He's out of the ICU now, I guess. This happened in December. But this is like an example of if he knew, like, hey, this is like Sasquatch type. You know, if you get rocks thrown at you, most likely it won't be human. It'll probably be a Sasquatch, you know, so you need to be careful. You need to leave the area. This guy thought it was a human trying to pick a fight.
Well, again, you know, it's a circumstantial thing. If you're in the middle of nowhere in the woods at night and something's throwing rocks at you, maybe it is Bigfoot. You know, if it's during the day and you're right in a campground, probably a human. But, you know, just having that knowledge that, hey, something's pitching rocks at me, there's an option here other than a human.
Yeah.
Would have been enough to make him stop and think, whoa, where am I at now? Is that a human over there? Maybe I better not go on shore.
Yeah. But he wasn't educated. He didn't know about them. So, like, you know, I'm sure if you ask him now, like, if you knew that was a Sasquatch, would have done what? No. Like, I'm sure he'd say no. Like, you know, that's horrifying. It's terrifying. But I want to express, like, I've also heard beautiful stories of, like, there's one researcher who dedicated his whole life. He's still dedicated. And he got lost when he was a kid, I guess, in the woods. And a Sasquatch woman, like, picked him up and like, dragged him back to his, like, area, like, camp area. And when I mean drag, it's not like she picked him up, like, and hugged him and, like, you know, brought him. I mean, she, like, dragged him. Like, he had, like, you know, cuts and bruises and stuff. She dragged his body back to, like, the area where the search and rescue was, and then she started whistling. And then as soon as she started hearing the humans coming, like, towards that direction, she left, and they found the little boy. And, like, the father asked the little boy, how is it, like, a 3-year-old or 4-year-old, whatever, I don't know how old he was, but how is it that you whistled? And he's like, it was the hairy man, the hairy woman or whatever, you know, and I guess he smelled like skunk, like he had a horrible scent to him because he was, like, the Sasquatch was, like, holding on to him. So that's a cool story, you know, like, I love hearing stories like that, you know, so.
Well, and then there's the ones that I did recently where Kevin contacted me and we did the whole Glag saga where he was 14 years old and ran into one when he was out hunting, and it was apparently a starving orphan, and befriended it and spent 5 years helping take care of it. Yeah. So, you know, they're not like monsters, although some of them can certainly be like that. Certain humans can be like that, too. So,
yeah. But I mean, all the researchers out there, I do respect all of your guys' like insight. You know, for you guys that aren't like in researchers, there's a woo aspect to the Bigfoot community, and there's like a flesh and blood. And the woo is when they believe they have spiritual, natural. How do you say it, Duke? Is it supernatural, like,
paranormal, and that's
paranormal
like
things.
Again, you know, a lot of all the native tribes pretty much have legend of Bigfoot. And they don't even agree on it, because some of them will say it's just purely flesh and blood, and other ones will say it's supernatural, and some of them say it's a mix in between. So, you know.
But, like, I mean, I respect everybody's experiences, encounters, dedication, whether you watch YouTube videos and you explore them or whatever you do. You taking your time to help others or to learn about them, to me, is very commendable, and I thank you for that, you know, and so, like, I wish we could all come together as a community, but I know that's never going to happen. But unfortunately, you know, I'm going to work hard for all those who are true, who have supported me, like, just being like, hey, we're thinking of you. Like, you know, the words of encouragement mean everything in the world to me. So I want to thank you, Duke, for having me on your show, too, because I'm so grateful for that. But, you know, it's interesting. I'm on headline news, like in Russia, Canada. But you know what's so interesting, Duke? Guess what? The media doesn't want to interview me, so that's interesting.
No, you're kidding.
Really?
Wait a minute. First, I'm just being shook here over and over again. First, California actually is somehow derelict in their governmental duties, and I mean, God, who could have imagined that?
Yeah.
But now mainstream media, after having been contacted, won't even touch this story.
Won't touch the story.
Won't touch the story.
Okay.
Now, is that the same in every country? Is every country like that, or is it just California?
But I've heard Canada and Russia, and they have it all over headline news. But United States, nothing. So interesting. I don't know if it's going to change. I mean, maybe next week I'll get a phone call. Who knows? But I don't know. You think that they don't want people knowing about this. They don't want, already started.
That's just so strange. I mean, it's almost like you would think there's some kind of, news blackout or censorship going on or something.
Yeah, well, so we'll see how it goes. It's not going to stop me any, though, for sure. But
go, girl, go.
I will.
Hero.
Oh, and I also want to say, I really like the family for Dr. John Bindernagel, and thank you so much for the beautiful research that you gave, to so many, and I wish we had more people like him, just a great moralistic man, and with such high morals and etiquette and just everything. It was just so beautiful about him, and he's really going to be missed. And
an actual open-minded scientist. Ooh,
yes.
Yeah, we need more of those.
We do. We do. So, and Dr. Meldrum, for him to, not be afraid of saying, yeah, I believe in Sasquatch and I'm a scientist. Good for him, That's very awesome.
Well, he'll always couch that in, I don't believe in Sasquatch. I'm persuaded by the evidence that such a thing is probably real, or something along those lines. And that's the way I am. I don't believe in Sasquatch either. I've seen them 3 friggin' times. I don't even believe in them. They're real. I've seen them,
Yeah. I kind of learned a lesson. I used to be kind of judgmental of when I was younger. If you would have said to me, hey, I believe in ghosts, I'd be like, oh, or what is Sasquatch, not ghosts, or UFO, let's say UFO, I'd be like, come on, okay, I would laugh, and it really taught me a lesson not to be like that, because those people that are like that, when you guys have something happen to you, how would that make you feel? How would that make you, and that's why I think the people that are judgmental like that, and then they experience it, they're the ones that are most ashamed to express what they've seen. Not even to their wives, or husbands, and
most prone to become hardcore alcoholics, because it not only shook up their world, but they have egg all over their face from what they did to other people in the past.
Yeah. I've had a man who contacted me, and he had an experience, and it traumatized him so bad that he started drinking, and he had to go to a rehab, and he finally said, this is what happened to me, and he finally expressed it, and he got better and better and better and became sober, which I'm so proud of him. And it's just people do things because they're trying to not feel the pain and the fear that they felt at that moment,
Another perfect example, Taylor, repeat guest on my show, and just on the last episode, the Interactors Roundtable, 2.5 years ago, he didn't even believe there was a Bigfoot. Then he found out for sure there was one and got really interested in it and had some more experiences, that all of which were not necessarily positive, and, started drinking heavily, had a heart attack, got thrown in jail. All sorts of bad things happened to him as a result of finding out Bigfoot is real and getting way too interested in it. So, again, here's his giant downside. Everybody thinks he's crazy. They all ridicule him. It just almost destroyed his life. I mean, he's pulled out of it now. He's got, everything's going fine for him. His health is good, but, he went through 6 months of complete hell because of this.
Yeah, of course. And we're here, and I'm always here for people like you do. I'm sure you offer to be in here for people that need it. So.
Yep. Yes, I do.
I pray for everybody out there who needs help with it. I'm here for you, and I'm doing this for you, so you're not alone. So that's really important to know.
I really appreciate you coming on. Is there anything else you wanted to say, dear?
Just thank you guys so much for everything, and I'm really going to try to come out of that courtroom saying I did it, and I'm going to do everything in my power to make it happen. But if you guys could please pray for me and my daughters to be strong, I would really appreciate the prayers, and continue to speak out of what you experienced. Don't be afraid. Don't let anything stop you, and you're not crazy, and you're not alone. So, and dude, thank you so much for having me on your show. This is my first interview with it, so I'm really excited.
Well, thank you for bringing it to my show first. World Bigfoot Radio really appreciates that, and so do I, being that I'm kind of World Bigfoot Radio at this point. But, the other thing that I wanted to mention, and you can put out any information that you have available here at this point. People listening, undoubtedly some of them are going to want to be in touch with you, keep updated on what's going on, and possibly even help support you in this big process that you're going through. How can they contact you?
Through Facebook. My name is Claudia Ackley. I'm wearing a black shirt by a tree. That's my cover photo, I believe. And there's a couple Claudia Ackleys, and you'll start seeing all my Sasquatch stuff on my timeline. And I'll be happy to help you with anything I can help you with. If it's going to be negative or put me down, I will unclick you, block you, and stop you from bringing me down because I won't tolerate it from anyone. So, and I'm not trying to be rude, but I have to be kind of harsh that way in this field. So, but I'm very compassionate, and if you ask me not to say anything to anybody, I will keep your secret, of course, forever. That I want to help you, and feel free to contact me, and I'm here for you. Like, I will always be here for you. So, thank you. Right. And if I don't get back to you right away, I will get back to you. I have a lot of stuff going on right now, but I will promise you I'll get back to you. So,
that feeling. We've been trying to get together and do a recording here for 2 days, and I've been having so much stuff going on here where I'm at, I haven't even been able to do it. As important as this is. So, I totally understand. Life gets in the way of this kind of stuff occasionally. So you guys be patient with her, be patient with me, and, we're all doing our best. Most of us don't have gangs of people working for us to help us with all this stuff. We have to kind of do it all by ourselves. So I'm Gang of One. That's World Bigfoot Radio. It's me, Gang of One. So know exactly what you're dealing with there, dear, and any help that I can give you on this end. And I'd be happy to have you on for updates in the future to talk about what's happening with the case and what's ongoing with it. So I'm sure all the listeners would be happy to hear about that, too, and keep updated that way as well.
I will. I'll get back on your show in the middle of all this. How about that? And I'll give you the update of everything that's happened as far as, conspiracy and all the questions you guys have. Maybe you guys could write a list of questions, and I'll be happy to answer them to the best of my knowledge.
Well, you can post all your questions in the comment section underneath the video, and then we'll do a Q&A session the next time that we have Claudia on for an update on what's happening with the proceedings over there.
Thank you so much. Thank you, all of you. Thank you, Duke, for everything. So.
Very welcome, very welcome. Thank you so much for being in contact with me and giving me the option of doing this report with you and bringing everybody else up to date on what's actually happening here, even though there's a mysterious lack of information inside the U.S. going around about it.
That's funny. Well, thank you so much, and have a good night and a wonderful rest of the week. So.
Okay. Again, thanks for being on the show. It's been my pleasure. It's been an honor. And everybody out there, again, try and help other people. Always pay it forward. Safety first, last, and always. And God help you. Whatever you do, please do not hug the Wookiee. Have a great week, everybody. Bye.
Every life matters. Good night.